In this video, I'm looking at how I've been using the Dry Sparkle products this winter, especially the mop and the black streak remover. Now, I've not been paid anything to say anything nice, but I've been sent these products for free for review, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion, and hopefully I'll be giving Dry Sparkle some feedback on their products. So in this video, I want to look especially at their black streak remover and the mop. The black streak remover and the mop. But first, a little information about the company and why I've chosen to support Dry Sparkle. Well, they're a British company. They're operating out of East Sussex, and where possible they use local companies to supply or manufacture their goods. All items are bought from the UK-based companies. The Dry Sparkle solution is manufactured in the UK and not overseas. Dry Sparkle is mainly sold through the website, and they don't use traditional marketing methods or retailers, so no middlemen or women. They use influencers like me to share their experience. They tell me they love customer reviews, so if you want to give it a try, please do, but leave some feedback on their website when you've tried it, even if you don't like it. They are environmentally friendly products, and for instance, there's no carnauba wax in Dry Sparkle. They have reusable, unique spray bottles and use recyclable packaging. So it's a premium quality product. It's not the cheapest on the market, and I think a lot of people have already commented on that. So let's have a look at how I got on with the product using Dry Sparkle. Now, I've used Dry Sparkle all winter so far, and I've not got the hose pipe out once. So I've been using it since November last year, and I've used it to clean the car, the e-bike and the motorhome. I've been doing parts of the motorhome separately, the cab, the caravan part and the roof, which is great because that makes it a lot easier if you only need to do little bits of it. So I've been using it on the motorhome for some while. I think this is one of the muckiest parts of the motorhome often, is the back of it. So a bit of speeded up footage here, and quite pleased how clean this got it. And it's safe to use on the windows as well, making sure that the cloth stays a little bit damp. I think that's the important thing. The one that you're cleaning it with should always be fairly damp. You apply the Dry Sparkle to it before you start, and that seems to work. What you're trying to avoid is any friction between the cloth and the surface, so that's why it's good if it's damp there, and spraying it on and taking it off. You can see how much cleaner that's become. Obviously this is fairly speeded up footage, probably about 10-15 minutes work there, but it's easy to use, and that's the beauty of it. Yeah. And also using it on the car as well. The car gets incredibly mucky behind the motorhome, picking up all sorts of salt and things. You can see the difference with a little plug there. Yeah, so same principle is spray it onto the cloth, spray it onto the surface, and then it will come off. And the dirtier the cloth is, obviously, the more it's working. The only thing I would say, minor criticism really, it's a bit difficult to get into these tiny little surfaces, the little grill thing there, but it does really come up with a lovely shine, and I've not noticed any scratches. Used it on the e-bike as well. This bike was absolutely filthy. I've been riding through the sand dunes there, and some really sort of tricky bits on the bike, around the gears and the brakes and everything. So again, it's a case of spraying it on and wiping it off. There we go. And it takes a little bit of time, and you can get around there, but the difference really on the bike, even sort of in the really tricky bits, it gets it really nice and clean. Anything that needs cleaning like that, bike or motorbike, I guess, as well. Here we're back on the motorhome again, and the side here, filmed the side, and that was pretty mucky. That bit always seems to get, look at the difference. I've got to admit, when I've been making these videos, I found it quite difficult sometimes to show how dirty something is, because the sun's shining on it. It looks clean, but there, that it really is a transformation there. Up on the roof now, the roof doesn't look particularly mucky, but what I was trying out here was the mop, and the mop is great because you can't climb on the roof. I couldn't risk climbing up on the roof. I wouldn't want to do that. And this is an extending mop, and I'll show you this a little bit later, but this is great for doing the roof. Again, spray the surface, spray the mop, and it's got like a pad on it, and then you can clean it with one pad, and then you change it for the other pad. I think you can see the difference around the aerial there. You can see the bits I've cleaned and the bits I haven't cleaned, and it's quite useful getting in the little tricky bits there like that, because it tilts, and then you change the cloth and you put effectively the polishing cloth on. They're the same cloths, but one gets it off and one buffs it up, really. Yeah. And this is a tricky bit. This bit here, this is the front hecky, and you can see there's some sort of like black streaks there. You can get the mop, and because it's the cloth's bigger than the head, if you like, you can get it down the edge, so it does a reasonable job of getting those off. But this is where the black streak remover starts to come into its own. You can see, trying to clean it just with the Dry Sparkle, it wasn't really making that much of a difference on these spots around there. They've been there for ages. You know, it's a really difficult bit of roof to clean. So here's the Dry Sparkle, same principle, spray it on, get a damp cloth that's got the Dry Sparkle black streak remover on there, and it comes off a treat. It really does. Yeah, you see obviously the black bits coming away. Same with the mid hecky, and this is me inside the van with my head sticking out through the roof, and I was using the detailing brush to get some of the really ground on black spots there. Yeah, another one there. I think some of these have been there since I bought the motor, and they're really stuck on, and they get ingrained into the GRP. So it's done a remarkable job of cleaning this. Of course, what I started to realise is that I needed to clean the heckies as well, so I ended up cleaning all the heckies on the inside as well. But yeah, very pleased with that. And of course, once you've cleaned it, this will last for ages. So it is really only a job perhaps you only need to do once every 6 months or so. Really important, obviously, on the really tricky bits, like between the solar panel here and the hecky, somewhere that you probably miss when you're washing it with a brush. So, and underneath the hecky as well, you could get under there. But where I was really pleased with the black streak remover, it was on these side strips. You can see how brown they are. Quite amazing how sort of brown it's got. And I've tried everything really in the past to try and get rid of this stuff, and this black streak remover really was getting into that, coming off. It's a fair bit of work to get it off there, and I started using the detailing brush to get the worst bits off, and spraying a bit more on. Off it comes. You see all the brown stuff coming off. I couldn't believe how mucky that had got. You know, it looked awful. But this has done a really good job of it. There it goes. And in the edges as well, because it gets into the edges in there. Yeah, and then buff it up, and off it comes. Yeah, fair bit of work to get that nice and clean, but yeah, like I say, couldn't find anything that worked quite as well as this before. There you go. Happy with that. Yeah, let's just show you this mop a little bit in close up here. It's got like a lock on it, this lock here, so that will allow it to move about. But if you want it with a little bit more resistance, it doesn't exactly lock it. There is a little lever there that locks it in place, and that makes it, you know, so it won't move. Its head comes off, so that head comes off, and it's got a couple little, ouch, got little buttons to get it back, he said. Yeah. And then it extends as well, so you twist the arm and then it extends, and that's it. And it extends quite long, so it's quite a nice long mop. It's made by a company called Viken, and I do believe they are quite expensive mops, but if you want a good mop, this is definitely it. And the great thing, of course, about this and a motorhome is that it packs away, well, nice and short, really. So, and it's got a good strong handle at the back here. So yeah, I quite like this mop. Possibly the best mop I've ever had. So the mop is well made, but you'll still need a cloth, I think, for the tricky bits. And it's best to use Dry Sparkle when it's dry. It's okay to do when it's wet, but you do tend to use more cloths. Plus it takes longer, and I think it takes longer to buff it up. A fine mist means that it's probably best done when there's no breeze. It's great to be able to use it in the spells of the dry weather during the winter without having to get the hoses and the buckets and everything out, which is often frozen up as well. And it's a lot quicker because you're doing parts at a time. You just apply, wipe it off and buff it up. So I suppose it would be good to use on campsites too, because many campsites won't like you washing the motorhome on your pitch. So how much do you use to do the motorhome depends on how dirty it is. I've used between 2/3 and a whole bottle. A whole bottle is 300 millilitres, costs £11.25, £22 for 600 millilitres. I've not noticed any scratches. The black streak removal worked really well on the rubber sealing strip, and I'm really happy how it worked around the roof lights. Some tiny black spots remain, but to be honest, they've been there since day one, since I got the motor. I mean, I think they're ingrained in the GRP now. So that's it. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and we'll be talking about Dry Sparkle in the coming months and using it during the summer. So thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye then.